KISW.
So before we went to break, Steve brought up the point about the fact that, all right, we all have an opinion, or at least what we've heard or what we think we've heard about, the split between you and Nirvana back after the Bleach album was done, and actually when you did some stuff for Nevermind, and then and then something happened, and we all think we have a story about what happened, and we got you here because what surprises me is you are so, amicable. You are so gracious about anything we talk about concerning Nirvana that it makes me wonder, it doesn't feel like there was a bad split. So maybe what some of us think is not true, and we thought, well, we've got the guy right here. So what is your memory of how, you and Nirvana went your separate ways?
Well, I spoke earlier about how I was, looking forward to being able to write some stuff, for the band. And when Kurt said that, he'd appreciate some input and help and all that kind of stuff. And so that was one thing I was really looking forward to. And after a while, it was just like I kind of realized that, that really wasn't going to happen. And so, I don't know. I mean, it's that sort of thing, when you don't feel like you're being all you can be, I guess, in a band or whatever, it eventually kind of wears you down. And that's what it was eventually. That's what it was, ultimately doing to me. It was just kind of dragging me down. It was like I started feeling more like a drum machine than anything else. And I just, somewhere along the line, I just kind of started losing my inspiration. And of course, when you do that, it's going to show.
Yeah.
If there's somebody,
your heart's not in it,
if it's not music, no matter what you're doing, even the workplace or something, if someone's not in it, you can tell. And so, what do? Well, you got to get rid of them. And so, Chris and Kurt made the long drive up and came up to my place and said that they
the driveway though.
What? They drove the driveway?
They just stopped.
Oh, stopped. Oh, yeah, they stopped and looked. Is he there? But
nervously.
Nervous Nellies. Yeah, that was a weird drive for them. I mean, I remember talking about it with Chris. Years down the road, he was like, "Yeah, that was like a really horrible drive." It's like me and Kurt were not looking forward to that at all. Because the thing is that. We were always good friends, So, I mean, to say it was through musical differences would be exact, because it really was. That was the deal. Part of me thinks, maybe at some point, maybe the right thing I should have done would have voiced my opinion about what I wanted to do and see where that would have taken me. But I don't know, young, whatever. For whatever reason, I didn't do that.
So what was the conversation like when they sat down?
It was very kind of brief, actually, because...
So the drive was longer than the conversation?
Yeah, the drive was longer than the conversation, yeah.
Right, but it sounds like the drive up the driveway was longer than the conversation.
Driveway... Actually, it's kind of a long driveway, but long gravel driveway, but...
They didn't get out of their car, did they? They just sat there?
No, they did. They totally got out of the car.
Andy was there in case you didn't notice.
So Andy, you were there.
Were you there?
He was
I used to.
Yeah,
Chad and I lived
Andy,
together.
pick up that microphone real quick, or you can pick it up and put it to your face. There you go.
Chad and I lived together when they.
So it is interesting because Andy does seem to have a different recollection, or maybe not. I don't know, because when you're somebody's buddy, and I've been fired by a friend before. I've been fired a lot in my life, but then there was one time I remember where a friend of mine, a very good friend of mine, had to fire me, and it wasn't pleasant for him. So when you said that those guys were dreading the drive, boy, I can understand that because I have seen it on somebody else's face when you go, wow, they have to do this. I know they're not enjoying this at all. Because sometimes when you get fired in life, you think that the person on the other end sometimes does enjoy it. Sometimes I've always felt like, you know what, dude, you kind of like this. This sucks that you like that you're going to have to let me go. But like you said, they really didn't feel like they wanted to do this at all. And which would make sense as to why they would try to make it as brief as possible because of how painful it may have been for them as well. And was it just like, you know what, we just don't think you should be in the band anymore? Was it that brief?
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty much that. They just, it kind of opened up as in, it doesn't seem like you're really kind of giving it your all, like you used to or whatever. And, I agreed because I wasn't, I mean, it was true. I was kind of burning out on it, on the whole thing. And so I was like, yeah, that's true, and in the end it was like, that's, I mean, I totally said I completely understand your guys' decision on this one,
And that's fascinating because, again, you had done stuff for Nevermind. There was the Geffen situation, so that had to at least look like things were happening. I mean, maybe nobody thought it would blow up the way it did with Nevermind, but it had to be. You had to be at least going. At least in my brain, it's like, well, we went from Sub Pop, which
even the record label didn't think it was going to blow up that big. They didn't press that many records at first.
Yeah, I mean, but still, you did go to Geffen's a big name. I mean, that's a huge jump for any band, especially back then. That was the only way to get exposed, was to get a big company to really give you some love. And you even still felt at the time, you know what, this just isn't working out for me. That is pretty amazing to know yourself that well.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think part of it too, thinking about it, was the fact that when we were recording in Madison, those were the same times that Sub Pop. Actually, at the time, I wasn't aware of it. None of us were, but until shortly after. But Sub Pop had been talking to Geffen. And so, when we found that out too, that was like a big stepping stone. So I think on both sides of the water was like, they were like, wow, we got to figure out what to do here, because we're about to jump up to hopefully, a bigger level here. And for me, it was almost crunch time for myself. It's like, well, I got to figure this out. How should I, rate that? Tell them that, like, maybe I should, like, not play with you guys anymore or whatever. I don't know. So I don't know. It was weird. I mean, part of me, part of me totally wanted to go on because just cause, it's music, and I liked it. I mean, it's one of those things where, I always enjoyed listening, to the guys playing, even while I was playing, because I was always, I love good vocal melody line stuff, and that's what I thought, was so great about Kurt. Which is, one of the big reasons why, I joined the band, because I liked that whole mix of melody and guitar stuff that he was doing, because it was, kind of such a quirky pop sort of thing, but it really worked. But so it was, so I mean, part of me, there was a lot of me that really did, I really did like the music that we were doing. So yeah, part of me did want to continue on, but the realistic side was, I don't know, how happy would I be? It's like, sure, I would probably have, a few more dollars in the billfold, but, would I be doing my own thing? Would I be doing, music that's more with me involved in it, And, probably not. Even though Kurt mentioned that he was looking to do that at one point, realizing that wasn't going to happen, I was pretty certain that wasn't going to happen, like, at all, ever.
And was that conversation? Did you have that conversation in that meeting? Did you get to say, okay, here's what's up, and how? If that conversation happened, how was that received, or did you have it at all?
No, I actually didn't even talk about that.
How do you feel about that now? Yeah, that's interesting because I would wonder, like, if that conversation had been had, geez, you wonder how it would have been received, and would it have been odd if he said, here's why we're not doing it now, but maybe down the road, or maybe we should. Any reason you can think in your head why you didn't have that conversation?
I guess for me, I just wasn't. I don't know. Part of me was like, let's just get this over with. Yeah,
I get that.
Because it was like, it was because, and I just, I let them kind of, do most of the talking about the stuff and what was going on, just listening to how they were feeling about it. And I was like, that makes sense. I'm not really sure why I just didn't tell them my side of the story, so to speak, where I was coming from. But I never really did. And I think it's because maybe part of me was thinking, well, if I did, I don't want to make this more of a hassle or a big deal any more than it has to be,
Wow.
So the BJ Shea Morning Experience on 99.9 KISW.